So again, we have our last guest on for the day, and special guest. And some of you are going to say that I have to say that, but it's actually very, very true. So on with us now is Tina Freitas. Well, look, I know you have been on John Fredericks' show before, but you've never been on John Fredericks while I've been hosting. So you're not going to get these softball questions that John usually throws at you. All right, you're entering the free fire zone now. But look, just to refresh all of our listeners' memories, tell us who you are and what you are running for, and a little bit about why you're running.
Well, my name is Tina Freitas, and I'm seeking the Republican nomination for the 24th Senate District out here, which encompasses parts of Culpeper, Madison, Greene County, parts of Rockingham, Augusta, and the cities of Waynesboro and Stanton. All
right, good deal. And who's the incumbent?
I'm actually, the incumbent has earned this challenge. His name is Senator Emmett Hanger. And if you take a quick perusal of his voting record, you'll understand exactly why someone voting the way he does in a very deep red district has earned a challenge.
Yeah. Well, tax increases, voting against gun legislation, trying to rip the Hyde Amendment off the budget. Those are all things that typically tend to frustrate us conservative Republicans. But here's what I want to talk about today. So we talked with Julianne Condry earlier in the morning, and she was talking about the Virginia Conservative Women's Coalition and some of the unique challenges that women face when they run for office. And you had a unique experience here while you were on the campaign trail. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
Okay, so I've actually had several very unique situations happen, but I am assuming you're talking about my experience at the coffee shop when we were hosting a meet the candidate, coffee with the candidate at one of the coffee shops. I won't name where exactly we were, but it was in the middle of a quite liberal area. So I was sitting at a table with a group of supporters in a booth, and we were pretty quietly discussing policy positions and exactly what legislation means for certain people. And we just went topic by topic, and we just quietly were discussing, the issues and what we believe about them. And we weren't heated, we weren't loud or obnoxious or anything like that. But a man about an hour into it jumps up, and as he's walking out, he starts to, first he says, well, thank you for ruining my lunch with your forked tongue, and then expletive, more expletives. And I can't really repeat on the radio everything that he said because he pretty much cussed us out. And I'm sitting at a table with, 70-year-old women, women ranging from, 40 up to, mid-70s. And it was really interesting. He just came up and cussed out an entire table of women, loud enough to where the entire coffee shop was stopped what they were doing and were watching. And so as he was leaving, I said, well, you're welcome, sir. What are you supposed to say, right? And so he turned around and gave us some more abuse. And as I was sitting there, I just turned and I looked back at my table, back at my group, and said, this is a little taste of what we experience as conservative women in some way, shape, or form every single day. If you deviate from the left's select talking points that are approved for those of us with ovaries and a uterus, this is how you get treated. And there were people all throughout the coffee shop watching. There was a young man on his computer with his eyes just huge. And I'm assuming he was, he's a college student, college age, and he was just shocked about how this man treated these women. And he said, I can't believe you just had to experience that. And I looked at him and I said, this is what it's like to be a conservative woman. These men who talk as though they too are feminists, right, in spirit, they spew this kind of hatred on us the minute we deviate from what they say we're allowed to say. That sounds a whole lot like control to me. And I said, this is just a taste of it. I said, it happens all the time. You try deviating from their select talking points, and this is how you're treated. And, he couldn't believe it. And there was a table of ladies who said, well, are they conservatives? So because we're conservatives, I guess we kind of deserved it, right? That allows that. kind of behavior. And they said, well, we're liberals, but we don't agree with how he treated you, even though you are conservatives. So it was really interesting because they really do put us into a different category. And it really appears to me, I mean, it's especially from leftist men. Leftist women, they don't tend to do it quite as much. It's actually leftist men. And it's interesting because it's almost as if what they really think of women is so bottled up and under pressure that the minute they come across a woman who it's okay to abuse, it comes flying out like it's some kind of a volcano and just keeps just bubbling up from inside. These men it's like you really recognize what they really think of women the minute it becomes okay to abuse us. And the reason it's okay to abuse us is because we are conservatives and we think for ourselves. We refuse to regurgitate those talking points that are force-fed to us by the left. And because they claim that the left is the only one who speaks for women in this country, if we deviate at all, that's the treatment we get. Well, and I've gotten it in many, many forms, not just that one, but that was the most public one.
Yeah, well, and I mean, I know I've seen this stuff on social media and whatnot. And I remember when you were talking about this decision, and I think you mentioned this in your announcement speech as well. When you were asked, why do you want to do this? And obviously, you went through the different policy issues, and the 24th Senate district is an incredibly conservative district, and yet the representation is not really matching the conservative values of it. But one of the things that you would mention that I think made an impression on a lot of people was that you were tired of your children, both your son and your daughters, but your daughters especially growing up in this environment where culture is telling them that there is a certain way to think about politics if you're a woman, right? As if your gender is supposed to dictate your politics that you wanted to stand against. And one of the issues that I think you've taken out a unique stance is when you talk about constitutional carry. And for those who don't know, constitutional carry just says that right now in Virginia, if you want to go buy a firearm and you want to wear it on your hip and go out into public, you can. It's called open carry laws. But the moment you put your shirt over it, or the moment you put the gun in a purse, now you're a criminal unless you've gone through the process of getting a concealed carry permit. And this is one of the things that you think is actually specifically, not only is it a general violation of Second Amendment rights in your opinion, but you think it specifically disadvantages women to make them go through additional hoops in order to get a concealed carry permit when, it has no bearing on how you buy the gun, right? You got to go through the same, you got to fill out the same paperwork. But now we want to pass a separate law on how you can carry it. Tell us a little bit about what your motivation is on that issue with the Second Amendment and specifically constitutional carry.
Well, I believe the Second Amendment is a great equalizer. As a woman, I can defend myself against a stronger attacker. And I really feel that a woman being told that she has to jump through a whole bunch of government hoops, pay a bunch of fees, go through a bunch of just deal with the whole process with the government, that really sounds to me like a whole lot like infringement on my Second Amendment rights. And, as a woman, most women will completely identify with this. Our clothes fit differently. Everything is a little different. We have more curves. I mean, God forbid I point out the fact that we are different, but we are. And it's good. It's good that we are, because that makes things more interesting. But anyway, you have this situation where a woman typically wants to be a little bit more discreet with how she carries. I don't want to walk into the coffee shop and have, a bunch of scared to death, frightened snowflakes thinking that my gun's going to just pop out on its own and start shooting people, because that's what they think that it will do. I mean, it's absurd. But so I want to be able to carry it more discreetly, because really the reason I want this is not because I want everyone to know I'm carrying a gun. It's not because I want everyone to be like, ooh, that woman, she must be tough because she's got a gun. I don't care about that. I want to be able to defend myself in the situation where I find myself alone and someone is trying to overcome me, or a group of people. I'm a 5'5" tall woman. If somebody who's 6'2" comes up to me and is muscular, I don't really have a chance unless I have something to defend myself. I can go ahead and try to fight as hard as I can, but at the end of the day, they're going to be able to overcome me. And I don't believe that a woman should have to jump through. I don't believe anybody should have to jump through hoops to exercise their Second Amendment rights. And right now in Virginia, we have this rape kit backlog. I don't know if a lot of people maybe have seen some reports on it, and they're trying to get through all of these rape kits. And the left is constantly screaming about rape culture, and yet they want to disarm women and allow us to be at the mercy of whoever would try to assault us, and then just deal with it on the backside. Oh, the police will be there in about 10 minutes. Well, that's definitely long enough for damage to be done and someone to be scarred for life. And I think that the way to alleviate this rape kit backlog is to have women armed and be able to know how to defend themselves, comfortable with using a firearm, know all of the safety mechanisms. I mean, I believe that women should know how to defend themselves with a firearm, because if more would-be rapists were bleeding out in the gutter somewhere, we wouldn't have this backlog in rape kits.
Oh no! So, if you definitely want to see it, I think that's the issue, and it's amazing because I've actually heard liberal women before when we say, look, one of the ways that you want to defend against a stronger attacker is you want to make sure the woman has the ability to defend themselves, and that way if someone assaults her, she can fight back. And I've actually heard people say, well, we're not saying rape deserves a death sentence by getting shot. I'm like, are you kidding me? So you are honestly saying you think it would be better for society, you think it would be better for that woman if she undergoes this horrendous attack because you are so desperate for greater gun control, because you are so desperate to ensure that private citizens cannot have access to firearms, that you would actually condemn a woman to that. Because, and this is something you've brought up before, and I think it's important. I think people need to hear it. And that is look, we understand that with respect to our government, with respect to public safety, there's some things that we can do and there's some things that we can't do, right? The police cannot be there in every single situation. They can't be there every single time an assault or a crime is going to take place. We also know that you can have all the gun bans you want, and it's not going to prevent a determined criminal from being able to get a hold of a firearm and be able to hurt somebody, especially not when we're not even willing to do some common sense border security. So you have this situation where, okay, we can't prevent the attacker from using a firearm to hurt somebody, right? But we can prevent law-abiding citizens from owning guns. So where's the greater injustice? Is the greater injustice where somebody uses their Second Amendment rights inappropriately, or someone uses and commit a crime, or is it a greater injustice when not only does somebody use a firearm in order to hurt somebody, but now the person that's getting hurt was disarmed by the very government that was supposed to protect them in the first place? Where is the greater injustice there? And I think we have this situation right now where we have people, and especially we have women on college campuses and other places where an assaulter and attacker knows they're not allowed to carry, knows they're not allowed to exercise their Second Amendment rights, and it almost feels like it's the government. That's the government that is holding that person, holding that woman down, and putting them in a vulnerable situation to where they're not even allowed to defend themselves from an attacker. And I've asked the question before, and I asked it of a Democrat colleague. I said, look, do you honestly believe women are ready to exercise all of their constitutional rights, or only the ones you think they're ready for? Because I believe they're capable of exercising all of them, to include the Second Amendment.
Absolutely. A lot of times I think that this really comes down to government control. They would much prefer to keep us under their thumb than to make sure we are truly safe. I mean, everything is done in the name of safety, but if you really dig down to the root of it, I mean, the ones who are the the easiest on sexual predators and folks who assault women are the left. I mean, they like to talk on talking points and talking shows and everything else, and do the hashtag Me Too movement. And I have to say, most women identify with this hashtag Me Too movement. And the thing is that I believe that women should be able to defend themselves. And the great equalizer is our Second Amendment. There is nothing more empowering than to know that I can walk through almost any environment and know that I'm safe because I know how to take care of myself. I'm not a damsel in distress. I don't need to wait on the police to come and help me. I don't need to wait for some male to come and help me. I can help myself because I have a firearm and I know how to use it. Now, that's the other very important thing is if you're going to own a firearm, you must know how to use it, and you must know how to deal with it properly. But I think that really at the end of the day, it comes down to government control. Mm-hmm. They want to label everybody a victim, and they never, ever want to move past this hashtag Me Too. And I have this, I really want us to get to the point where, Me Too becomes not me. Mm-hmm. And because, it may have been me before, but now it's never going to be me again.
Yeah.
And the thing is the only way to really do that is for women to be armed. And I really believe that that's what we need to do. And women, if you call yourself a feminist and you want respect from others, I see a lot of feminists running around screaming and crying about you need to respect me and blah, blah, blah. My problem with that is that if you're begging people to respect you and you're begging people to let you be equal, you're making yourself unequal. You have to take your equality. You already are equal. You just have to own it. Mm-hmm. And you can't wait on somebody else you can't beg them to respect you. They will never respect you while you're begging them for respect.
Yeah.
You have to take it.
Well, I
believe that our Second Amendment right is one way to do that.
Well, I think that's, we got a break coming up here in a second, but I want to get to one more issue before we get into our final segment here. And that is, I know one of the other issues that's really important to you is the life issue. Tell us a little bit about why specifically that issue is so important. And again, with Emmett Hanger sending money to Planned Parenthood and voting to remove the Hyde Amendment, that was kind of a catalyst for you to run. So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, this is one of the issues that is incredibly important to me because our right to life is our very first foundational right upon which every single other right is built. You cannot have any other rights without your right to life. And so once you exist and once you're alive, we should be protecting your right to life. Mm-hmm. And so it's very important to me. If you're going to waffle on that issue, I don't care how strong you've been in the past, but the minute you show that you'll go ahead and exchange life for some other deal that you want, you cannot be transactional with life. Yeah. I reject that. I believe that this district will reject that on June 11th. That was one of the biggest issues that, I was angry about a lot of votes. But I thought for sure that of everything else we disagree on, I thought for sure that he would at least stay firm on life. Mm-hmm. And you know what? He didn't. Yeah. And he may say he's 100% pro-life, but his voting record most certainly is not.
Well, we've got to cut to a break here, got to cut to a break here in a second. So here's what I want to do: what is the best way for people that want to help, that they want to vote for you, they want to knock doors for you, they want to donate to you? What is the best way for them to get in contact with your campaign?
Visit my website at www.tina4va.com.
All right, Tina, 4va.com, in order to learn more about the issues that Tina Freitas cares about in her quest to become the Republican nomination for the 24th Senate District. Tina, thank you very much for having on. And everyone, stay tuned for our last segment.